Are you noticing your car insurance rate creep up even without tickets or claims? You're not alone. That's why there's Jerry, your proactive insurance assistant. Jerry handles the legwork by comparing quotes side by side from over 50 top insurers so you can confidently hit buy. No spam calls, no hidden fees. Jerry even tracks rates and alerts you when it's best to shop. Drivers who save with Jerry could save over $1,300 a year. Don't settle for higher rates. Download the Jerry app or visit jerry.ai/libsyn today. That's jerry.ai/libsyn.
Hey listeners, this is Peter and welcome back to the History Shorts. Today's episode is brought to you by the Podcast Republic, your ultimate listening app. Discover and subscribe to thousands of podcasts from around the world. Download Podcast Republic today, available on Google Play and the Apple App Store. Today on History Shorts. It began on a fall morning in 1969, with a sunny tune, a stoop, and a street full of neighbors. Can you tell me how to get to Sesame Street? It was catchy, it was colorful, and it was unlike anything that had ever aired on American television. For the first time, children's TV wasn't just entertainment, it was actually education. That morning, millions of kids across America met Big Bird, Bert and Ernie, Oscar the Grouch, and a friendly furry red monster. But Sesame Street was more than just a collection of puppets and jingles. It was actually a radical social experiment, born from the turbulence of the 1960s, guided by science and powered by the belief that television could be used not to sell toys, but to teach children. We finish today's episode with a history brief, which returns to some strange history. A quick word from our sponsors.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year, you can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC, SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
This day in history. On February 16, 1862, Union forces captured Fort Donelson in Tennessee during the Civil War. The victory gave the North control of key rivers and earned General Ulysses S. Grant the nickname Unconditional Surrender Grant. On February 16, 1937, Wallace H. Carruthers received a patent for nylon, the first fully synthetic fiber. The invention revolutionized clothing, manufacturing, and wartime production, ushering in the modern plastics age. Story of the day. The 1960s were an age of transformation. Civil rights marches, urban unrest, and an America divided by race, class, and opportunity. One of the growing concerns among educators and policymakers alike was early childhood inequality. By the time children from poor or minority families reach kindergarten, they were already behind their wealthier peers in vocabulary, reading readiness, and basic social skills. And while many middle-class children attended nursery schools or had books at home, many others just simply did not. Yet there was one thing nearly all kids in America had access to, and that was television. By the mid-1960s, over 90% of American households owned a TV set. To some educators, it was a symbol of decline, a vast wasteland, as the FCC chairman Newton Minow famously called it. But to others, it looked like an opportunity. What if the most powerful communication tool in history could be used to educate children, especially those who need it most? In 1966, Joan Gans Cooney, a television producer at New York's public broadcasting station WNET, was invited to dinner with Lloyd Morissette, a psychologist and vice president at the Carnegie Corporation. Morissette posed a question that would change her life. Do you think television could teach young children? Really teach them? Cooney didn't know, but she was intrigued. A few months later, she produced a groundbreaking documentary titled The Potential Uses of Television in Preschool Education. Her research suggested that if television could sell breakfast cereal and action figures, then it could also teach letters, numbers, and empathy. The key was to make education as addictive as advertising. With a $1 million grant from the Carnegie Corporation, Cooney and Morissette founded the Children's Television Workshop, a nonprofit dedicated to creating an educational TV show unlike anything that had come before it. Its mission? To prepare preschoolers, especially those from disadvantaged backgrounds, for school, using the full power of entertainment. They called it Sesame Street. The first episode aired on November 10, 1969, on public television stations across the country. From the very start, Sesame Street was a shock to the system. The set looked like a real urban neighborhood, complete with brownstone stoops, lampposts, trash cans, and a diverse cast of human characters. Children saw people who looked like them. Black, white, Latino, male, female, all sharing the same street, laughing, learning, and helping each other. Behind the scenes, the show's creators assembled a team that included some of the most innovative minds in education and entertainment. That was Joan Cooney, who oversaw production, and Lloyd Morissette, whom handled research and funding. But it was also John Stone, a writer and director who helped craft the show's tone. And of course, Jim Henson, a young puppeteer who brought his Muppets to life, transforming fuzzy puppets into beloved characters with real emotion and humor. To keep children's attention, the show mimicked the rhythm of commercials, short, fast-paced segments that blended animation, live action, and puppetry. It was funny, smart, and deeply human. Before the age of algorithms, it kinda had an algorithm-esque schedule. Every episode was backed by research. Before anything aired, the show's creators tested scripts, jokes, and songs with focus groups of preschoolers, using one-way mirrors to study which segments held their attention. When kids started to look away, producers took note, adjusting pacing, visuals, and content until the show just worked. As Cooney later said, "If the children are not watching, then we are not teaching." The show's curriculum was built around clear educational goals: teaching letters, numbers, problem solving, and emotional understanding. But it also reflected broader social values. Episodes emphasized diversity, kindness, cooperation, and respect, values that were radical in an era still scarred by segregation and inequality. When Sesame Street featured black and white actors interacting as equals, some stations in the Deep South just refused to air it. The producers refused to compromise. They said the street would look like America, not as it was, but as it should be. Within weeks, Sesame Street became a phenomenon. By the end of the first season, it was being watched by over 2 million children a day. Its catchy songs, from Rubber Ducky to the alphabet song, filled living rooms and classrooms. Its characters became cultural icons. Big Bird represented childhood innocence and wonder. Oscar the Grouch taught kids it was okay to have bad days. Bert and Ernie modeled friendship and cooperation. And Cookie Monster, with his insatiable appetite, turned eating into a lesson about self-control and sometimes lack of it. The show wasn't afraid to evolve. In later decades, it introduced characters who addressed autism, homelessness, and even grief, helping children navigate life's most difficult realities with empathy and understanding. By the mid-1970s, studies showed that children who regularly watched Sesame Street entered school better prepared, with higher literacy and math skills, and stronger social awareness. The show's format became the blueprint for children's television around the world. By the 1980s, Sesame Street was airing in more than 100 countries, adopted into dozens of languages, each version tailored to local culture, but carrying the same message: Learning is for everyone. Today, scholars call it one of the most effective educational programs ever created. It changed not only how children learned, but how television thought about its purpose. The History Brief. The following comes to us from Strange History by the editors of Portable Press, published in 2016. The birth of political correctness. It seems like everyone is talking about political correctness, so you'd think that the method of using language that seemingly goes out of its way to not offend anyone is relatively a modern term. Like maybe from, 80s or 90s. It actually dates way further back than all of that, all the way back to the founding of the United States. During a 1793 U.S. Supreme Court case called Chisholm versus Georgia, Justice James Wilson argued that it is the people, not the states, who held the real power in the country. He wrote, and I quote, "To the United States instead of the people of the United States is the toast given. This is not politically correct." The phrase was used sparingly in politics after that. It didn't hit the mainstream until the 1960s, until socially minded progressive activists revived the term. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today and helping make this little show such a mighty success. If you're enjoying this show and would like to help with its production, you can always donate a few dollars at buymeacoffee.com or become a Patreon member to enjoy these episodes ad-free. Both links can be found on our website at www.historyshortspodcast.com. Have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you all again tomorrow.
You know what's wild? Most people are still overpaying for car insurance just because it's a pain to switch. That's why there's Jerry. Jerry's the only app that compares rates from over 50 insurers in minutes and helps you switch fast with no spam calls or hidden fees. Drivers who save with Jerry could save over $1,300 a year. Before you renew your car insurance policy, do yourself a favor. Download the Jerry app or head to jerry.ai/Libsyn. That's JERRY.ai/LIBSYN.